Good morning, River Rocks Church. This is Don, and this morning I'm going to be taking us through Mark chapter 10, verses 46 through 52. Jesus is on his way to Jerusalem with his disciples for basically the final week of his ministry, the final week before he's going to be crucified. And they stop in Jericho. And verse 46 starts with, "Now they came to Jericho. As he went out of Jericho with his disciples and a great multitude, blind Bartimaeus, the son of Timaeus, sat by the road begging. And when he heard that it was Jesus of Nazareth, he began to cry out and say, 'Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me.' Then many warned him to be quiet, but he cried out all the more, 'Son of David, have mercy on me.'" There's a lot of stuff going on here, if you think about it. First, there's a multitude of people, and Bartimaeus is a blind beggar sitting on the side of the road. He's yelling loud enough to be heard over the multitude of people, enough so much that they kind of get annoyed with him and tell him to be quiet. But he was crying, "Son of David, have mercy on me." He believed that Jesus was the Messiah. He knew who he was. Son of David, that was part of, how Jesus was described in the Old Testament scriptures. So he believed Jesus was the Messiah already. And he humbled himself by saying, "Have mercy on me." He knew he needed the mercy of the Lord. And he also didn't let the fear of the crowd stop him from coming to the Lord. He was persistent. Now, he may have been physically blind, but his spiritual eyes were open wide. And many of the people that were in the multitude had physical sight, but they were spiritually blind. Verse 49 says, "So Jesus stood and commanded him to be called. Then they called the blind man, saying to him, 'Be of good cheer, rise, he is calling you.'" So a blind beggar sitting on the side of the road, who would be totally insignificant to many people, if not most, he got the attention of the Lord of heaven and earth. Not only that, but he received an invitation from Jesus to come to him. And throwing aside his garment, he rose and came to Jesus. Bartimaeus doesn't hesitate. He gets up, he throws his garment away to the side, and he rises and he goes to Jesus. Now, he's a blind man. So I have to ask this question: if a blind man can find Jesus, what excuse would we have for not finding him or seeking him when we need him? Verse 51 says, "So Jesus answered and said to him, 'What is it you want me to do for you?' The blind man said to him, 'Rabboni, that I may receive my sight.'" Now, why did Jesus ask Bartimaeus what he wanted him to do for him? He would have already known he was blind. Jesus knows everything. So I think Jesus wants Bartimaeus to be sure of what he wants. If he gives him his sight, it's going to be a life-changing event for Bartimaeus. See, in the culture that he was in, a blind man wouldn't have had to work. He would have been relying on alms from people. That was part of their culture. They may have not had any respect for blind people or sick people or people with disabilities, but they had a sense of duty to provide for them through alms. So Bartimaeus would have basically had his basic needs like food and shelter provided for him through those means. But if Jesus gives him his sight back, he's now going to be responsible. He'll have to go to work and basically take care of himself. And the same is kind of true for us. If we have our eyes opened by Jesus, we become responsible to do something with the knowledge and the salvation that we're given. But Bartimaeus was ready and willing. Jesus was already the master of him in his heart. And we know that by him calling Jesus Rabboni. See, rabbi means teacher, but Rabboni means my Lord or my master. And he did tell Jesus that he wanted his sight. And see, I also think Jesus wants us to ask. God wants us to ask for what we want. We know that in the book of, James tells us that sometimes we don't have what we want or what we need because we don't ask. We need to ask for the things that we want. Verse 52 as it closes out says, "Then Jesus said to him, 'Go your way, your faith has made you well.' And immediately he received his sight and he followed Jesus on the road." So Jesus grants his request, and it's Bartimaeus' faith that is the reason why Jesus gives him what he wants. His faith was proven by his actions. He didn't just sit on the side of the road. He didn't wait for Jesus to notice him. He moved towards Jesus. And he didn't let the crowd or anybody else talk him out of it or intimidate him. And he believed and he knew in his heart that Jesus could give him what he needed. And not only that, when Jesus told him he could go his own way, what did he do? He decided to follow Jesus. So I ask you today, are you in need of something from the Lord today? If you are, just believe that the Lord can and will meet your need. Don't let anybody stand in your way or cause you to doubt. Humble yourself before the Lord. Recognize your need for mercy and ask the Lord to grant you that mercy. But be bold and be earnest and ask for what it is that you need. And finally, when you receive from the Lord, be grateful and continue to follow him daily. See, all of these things add up to faith put into action. And this is the kind of faith that the Lord desires us to have, and he will respond to that. Now, I hope this has blessed you today, and I hope you have an awesome and great day.